you have any idea what you've just done?
Hey, welcome to Attack the Stack. If you like that, try this.
The devil has come to claim his due.
Daymare 1998 is a survival horror game developed by Invader Studios. The game was first conceived as a fan-made remake of Resident Evil 2. When the official Resident Evil 2 remake was announced by Capcom, it shifted to its own original IP. The game begins at a secret research facility where a special security team, Hades, an acronym for Hexacore Advanced Division for Extraction and Search, has been sent to investigate an incident with the potential to become much more than just a security breach. Daymare 1998 offers a multi-character point of view on the story, allowing you to follow the steps of an elite soldier, a helicopter pilot, and a forest ranger as they play out their roles in an event that transforms one peaceful small town into a deadly zone and its citizens into bloodthirsty monsters. The game features combat, puzzles, inventory management, and collecting lore items similar to Resident Evil games.
I failed you.
The Evil Within 2 is a third-person survival horror game developed by Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda Softworks. The player assumes control of Detective Sebastian Castellanos, who must descend into the world of Union to rescue his daughter Lily. In The Evil Within 2, maps are larger and there are multiple ways for players to advance in a level. The player is also given an item known as the Communicator, which helps to highlight the objectives, resources, and enemies featured in the game's world. It also reveals resonance points, which provides hints regarding what happened in the world of Union. Players can explore the map area freely to complete side objectives and scout for resources, which are scarce. Players can engage in direct confrontation with enemies using weapons like guns, or use stealth to prevent themselves from being noticed or sneak behind enemies to kill them silently. The game features a crafting system in which players can gather resources to craft new items such as ammo. Players can craft items at any time in the game, but doing so in a workbench requires fewer crafting materials. A customization system is also present. The green gel introduced in the first game can be used to customize Sebastian's abilities, which are divided into 5 different trees: health, stealth, combat, recovery, and athleticism. Weapons can be customized using the weapon parts players collected. The game received generally positive reviews. Like its predecessor, it received praise for its visuals, atmosphere, and gameplay.
I see that town.
Silent Hill HD Collection is a compilation of remastered ports of Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3, developed by Hijinks Studios and published worldwide by Konami. Silent Hill 2 centers on widower James Sunderland, who travels to the titular town after receiving a letter from his dead wife, while Silent Hill 3 is a direct sequel to the first Silent Hill game and focuses on Heather Mason, a teenager who finds herself in conflict with the town's cult. The compilation features a graphics overhaul, new voice acting, and Xbox achievements and PlayStation trophies. An arrangement was eventually reached between the original voice actors of Silent Hill 2 and Konami to allow for an option to have the original voice acting present in Silent Hill 2's port. The port of Silent Hill 3 does not have that option. Oh, and by the way, Silent Hill 2 is the best survival horror game ever made, in my opinion. Just saying.
And another still.
Oh dear.
Shadows of the Damned is an action game developed by Grasshopper Manufacture and published by Electronic Arts. The game follows the story of Garcia Hotspur, a Mexican demon hunter who goes to the city of the damned to battle its evil in order to save his true love. The game is the result of a collaboration between Goichi Suda and Shinji Mikami, and combined the styles of the two designers, namely the punk rock edge of the former and the psychological action thriller of the latter. Garcia's sidekick Johnson is ever present, acting normally as a torch for light or quick melee attacks, but can become a weapon when needed. Johnson can take 3 forms: a pistol, a shotgun, and an automatic rifle, all of which are upgraded into more powerful forms either by finding blue gems left after boss fights that add extra abilities, or through slotting of red gems, found in the environment or purchasable from Christopher to improve damage, reload speed, or ammo capacity. Garcia's health bar can also be extended using red gems. Health is restored by drinking alcohol that can be found in the game's levels, or purchasable from Christopher or vending machines using white gems, the form of currency in the demon world. Johnson also can fire a special light bullet, which can be used to both stun enemies and is a primary mechanic of the game's darkness puzzles. There are numerous boss fights that combine several aspects of the gameplay, including darkness, to be defeated. Certain levels are based on minigames, such as the use of a side-scroller in some chapters. Suda51 and Shinji Mikami are like peanut butter and jelly. That is, assuming you like peanut butter and jelly, which you should.
The devil is
Remothered, Tormented Fathers is a survival horror game developed by Italian studio Stormmind Games and published by Daryl Arts. It is created, written, and directed by the Italian video game artist and director Chris Darrell and is considered a spiritual successor to the Japanese survival horror series Clock Tower. The soundtrack was composed by Nobuko Toda of Final Fantasy, Halo, and Metal Gear Solid fame, and Luca Balboni. The story revolves around Rosemary Reed, a fascinating 35-year-old woman who reaches Richard Felton's house in order to investigate on the disappearance of a girl called Celeste. The woman is greeted by Gloria, the nurse who takes care of the old Richard. When Dr. Felton understands Rosemary's true intentions, the dread begins, and a web of lies where murders and obsessions come to life. Psychology plays a huge role within the game. Heroes and enemies are atypical, and the line between good and evil is blurred. Remothered includes stealth, action, puzzles, and strategic hide-and-run gameplay mechanics. Players are also able to make items more powerful, similar to Resident Evil games. The game does not feature health bars, so the player character's body is the only way to understand how you are doing. Last but definitely not least, exploration of the mansion is done with no load times. Yes. Siren: Blood Curse is a survival horror stealth game developed by Project Siren, a development team of Sony Computer Entertainment Japan Studio, and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. It is the third and final installment in the Siren series. Blood Curse is a reimagining of the first installment in the series, Siren, with many alterations to structure and content, along with most of the gameplay improvements introduced in Forbidden Siren 2. The game follows a cast of interconnected characters as they try to survive a cursed village in a remote area of Japan. In Siren: Blood Curse, the Link Navigator from previous games is replaced by a series of 12 chronological episodes, each containing parallel and intersecting chapters for different player characters. The series' signature Sight Jack ability operates in an automated split-screen mode, allowing the player to see through the eyes of others while continuing to play normally. The player can only discover clues to their next goal or target through this ability. Blood Curse puts an emphasis on stealth gameplay by encouraging players to evade the Shibito, the game's main enemies. When the player encounters a Shibito's vicinity, a heartbeat like drum will sound to warn the player. It is possible to knock a Shibito out for a small amount of time, however, it will eventually resurrect and attack again. Characters are generally unarmed at the start of a mission, making them easy targets for any who see them. The player can only carry one weapon at a time. Weapons include shovels, pistols, rifles, and a katana. In the Archives catalog, the player has access to audio recordings, videos, and documents collected by fulfilling certain conditions in an episode. The documents can uncover story details hinted upon in the episodes.
The world is a vampire.
Dead Space 2 is a science fiction survival horror game developed by Visceral Games and published by Electronic Arts. Set 3 years after the events of the first Dead Space, the game follows protagonist Isaac Clarke's fight against a new necromorph outbreak on the Sprawl, a space station surrounding a shard of Saturn's largest moon, Titan. It is one of the most expensive video games ever made, with a $120 million budget split evenly between development and marketing during a 2-year period of time. Early in the game, Isaac acquires the stasis module, which slows down enemies and otherwise impassable moving objects to allow Isaac to pass through safely, and the kinetic module, which allows Isaac to carry and fire objects telekinetically. The player can upgrade their weapons and armor at workbenches using power nodes. There are also automated stores where the player can buy and sell various items and gain new weapons and suits through acquiring schematics found throughout the Sprawl. Much like in the first game, Isaac must fight the necromorphs, organisms that mutate and take control of human corpses. To take down necromorphs, the players must use strategic dismemberment, in other words, slicing off limbs or sections of the necromorphs' bodies. Depending on how they are wounded, some necromorphs like the Pregnant and the Ubermorph can adopt new stances and tactics, even sprouting new limbs and spawning more enemies in the process.
In another life, the man was a writer. He still practices that art, forging weapons of war out of ideas.
Alan Wake's American Nightmare is a game developed by Remedy Entertainment and published by Microsoft Studios. The game is a downloadable follow-up to its predecessor, Alan Wake, but is not a sequel per se, rather serving as an in-universe spin-off. Alan Wake's American Nightmare makes use of the same combat mechanics found in the original Alan Wake. Alan has a flashlight, which must be focused on enemies before firing weapons at them. American Nightmare is more battle-focused though, containing more ammunition and a wider variety of weapons, including a machine machine gun, a nail gun, a crossbow, and combat shotguns, among others. Some weapons are unlocked via cases found throughout the maps, which each require a certain number of acquired manuscript pages to open. Collectible pages were also featured in the original Alan Wake, though they had only served to provide additional story elements. Like its predecessor, the game received mostly positive reviews. Critics praised the change of style and tone from the earlier themes of isolation, light versus darkness, melancholy, psychological horror tropes found in Alan Wake, to the more madcap pulp influence themes in Alan Wake's American Nightmare, utilizing black comedy tropes. Resident Evil Damnation is a Japanese adult animated biopunk horror action film by Capcom and Sony Pictures Entertainment Japan, directed by Makoto Kamiya and produced by Hiroyuki Kobayashi. It is a sequel to Resident Evil Degeneration. The story of Resident Evil Damnation revolves around biological weapons used in a European war zone and sees the return of Leon S. Kennedy as the protagonist. Leon sneaks into the Eastern Slav Republic to verify rumors that bioorganic weapons, or BOWs, are being used in the country's civil war, which the US and Russia are preparing to intervene in. After his arrival, Ingrid Hunnigan, Leon's mission support, informs him the government has ordered an immediate retreat of all US forces. Determined to stop the BOWs, Leon ignores the order and continues his mission.
Was an epidemic unlike any other.
Doomsday is a science fiction action film written and directed by Neil Marshall. In 2008, an unknown killer virus known as the Reaper virus has infected the country of Scotland. Unable to contain the outbreak or cure the infected, the British government builds a massive 30-foot wall that isolated Scotland from the rest of Great Britain. Whilst the quarantine was deemed a success, the extreme method employed by the government destroys diplomatic and economic relations between the UK and the rest of the world. Now, a parish state, the UK collapses into a dystopia rife with unemployment, civil unrest, and extreme economic turmoil. When the virus is found in London, political leaders send a team led by Major Eden Sinclair to Scotland to find a possible cure. Sinclair is originally from Scotland, having escaped as the quarantine began and at the cost of her right eye. For Sinclair, the mission is also personal, as she hopes to learn if her mother survived or not. Sinclair's team runs into two types of survivors: marauders and medieval knights. Swords plus zombies equals entertainment success. Redcon 1 is a British action horror film starring Katarina Waters, Mark Strange, and Carlos Gallardo. The film was produced by Gallardo and Kevin Eastman. It is Gallardo's second zombie movie. In Britain, a virus has swept the country, turning people into zombies. The virus has spread from a breakout from a prison in the south of England. Redcon 1 centers around a joint British-American Special Forces team trying to save a scientist from the clutches of death during this mass zombie outbreak. Unlike traditional zombies from similar franchises, the zombies in this film have retained certain human traits, being able to fight back and use weapons. Redcon 1 was the first movie director Chi Kyung-chung had shot in nearly a decade for his Intense Productions company. Martial arts zombies? Why didn't I think of that? Rec 4 Apocalypse is a Spanish horror film and the fourth and final installment of the Rec franchise. The film is a direct sequel to Rec 2, taking place immediately after the events of the second film. Jaume Balaguero, the director of the first two installments, returns alongside actress Manuela Velasco, who reprises her role of the imperiled reporter Angela Vidal. In the events leading up to the film, a special forces team is sent to an apartment complex to rescue a reporter named Angela and destroy the building. Following an attack by infected firefighters and residents, the team survivors, Lucas and Guzman, complete the assignment. Angela awakens on a ship, quarantined by its isolation. She's chained to a bed and remembers nothing. The plot is simple in this one: survive, remember, and escape. If you liked the video or it helped you out, click the thumbs up button below. It really helps us out. If you think it could help others, share it. Of course, subscribe for more content like this and more. And if you have anything to add to our list, feel free to comment below. Thanks for watching and keep attacking.